Spooky.
Spooky.
Hey, hello everyone.
Hello, everyone.
How are y'all doing today?
Podcast number 108. Here we are.
108?
108.
Isn't that the sum total of all the numbers in Lost?
That's true.
15,
And
16, 23, 42.
that's actually,
15, 16, 23, 42.
even though it's not on the list, that is the one like Easter egg thing that I was going to give a shout out to.
Really?
Because it's not an anime, but it
unnerved you.
yeah, it was scary in ways that like it shouldn't have been. Like it didn't make sense for it to be scary for me, but it was. Yeah.
We could even use creepy voices for this podcast, Julia.
Huh, I don't think
Wait.
I could pull off a creepy voice.
Well, actually, in some ways, creepy voices sound more disgusting than actually creepy.
Yep, that's
You know,
actually one of
it's
the things
less-
I wanted to bring up.
It's
yeah.
less in that sexy, gravelly voice, you know.
Oh,
than
yes.
You know.
Yeah,
Or
tie
what
me
have
up, daddy. Like, yeah.
Oh God, no!
What?
What?
What are we talking about?
What?
Hold on.
Ameju, thank you so much for the tier 1 sub.
Yes, thank
Appreciate
you.
it so much.
Mhm.
Flinchy Poo, thank you so much for the follow.
That sub sound scared me more than anything in anime. Well, and it's funny, right? Because like there isn't a whole lot in anime that's scary. Like even when we were coming up with stuff for this, like I don't have too many examples, and a lot of the examples are more of like things that felt like they came close but didn't quite hit that like scary beat.
Yeah, that's probably because we don't really watch too many actual horror anime. In general,
Sure.
horror anime tend to be like rather scary, I would say, because they hit all the things that you would typically want in a horror story, and
Wow.
especially in a visual medium.
Mhm.
But a lot of the things that we've watched, even more recently, has stuff that I would say is scary, not because it has the typical kind of tension climax, and then wind down and then up and up again. It's the potential things within the story that are scary because they don't happen that often, or because when they do happen, the expectation of what will happen following that is something where our imagination is able to run wild and creates things that might even be scarier than what actually happens.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
Yep. Welcome, everybody.
Oh yeah.
1 hour earlier stream is a nice surprise.
Oh, yeah, because in some areas of the world, daylight savings happened.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, we
Yep.
are always 3 p.m. Pacific time. So,
Right.
yeah, we do not have
Mhm.
a good finger on the pulse with regards to what the other areas of
Exactly.
the world's daylight savings times are.
I gotta say though, it was weird because I was talking with some of the people in my D&D party about just the D&D session that we had,
Right.
and it's in the evening for them, but it's like in the morning for me.
Mhm.
And we were talking for a long time afterwards, and it went way too late for them. And they were like, "Oh man, it's 4 a.m. over here. We have to go to sleep." And then it's like, "Oh wait, daylight savings is tomorrow. It's actually 5 a.m. right now." Like,
Oh no.
no. But yeah.
Psychronia 108 is also an important Buddhist number. It comes up a lot in matters involving spirits and spiritual journeys.
Ah.
Okay, very interesting.
Horror anime tend to be scary. God, I wish, but nope. Most horror anime are not that good at it. It's just that you have some extremely good ones like Higurashi. That's one that I'm going to bring
That's
up.
one that he's going to bring
Even though
up.
I haven't watched it in entirety, I've seen like the first 8 episodes of it. But yeah, Yep.
Okay. Well, then that's going to be good. So before we get too far into this, we got to give a VIP shout out
That's
to
right.
Imani Brooks. Thank you so much for the support.
Thank you.
Very, very recent VIP supporters. Awesome to
Mhm.
have you here. Looking forward to seeing you on the Discord at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, appreciate it a lot. Thank you.
We do.
And y'all, we're going to be talking about some spooky stuff today.
Yes.
So-
sort of.
So, sort
Ish.
of. Exactly. These are going to be
Mhm.
specifically the scary things that we like in anime, be they specific, shows and the themes that they use in them to try and, disturb and or scare the user,
Mhm.
or just to kind of create that nervous tension. We're going to be focusing on the elements of them that we appreciate, and specifically those that we've experienced, because in a lot of ways, like, you've seen, because we're going to mention it at some point,
Mhm.
Higurashi no Nico Koro ni?
Did
I say it right?
Higurashi no Naku Koro ni.
Naku Koro ni.
Yeah, I think that's how
It's
said.
just when they cry.
Yeah, which is apparently a very unfortunate translation. But
Oh, okay.
and I haven't seen all of it. I've seen the first 8 episodes of it, which is like
Okay.
the first third. But
But
enough
would
to
that
get-
be? Sorry, keep going.
well, but it was a pretty good taste of what the show's like.
But would it be accurate to say that that is the only horror anime, the only true horror anime we're going to be talking about today?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
And that's the
exactly.
thing, because there aren't many. Cychronia mentioned that basically most horror anime aren't actually scary. And while I haven't seen many of them, I agree. I actually, surprise, don't see Higurashi as being that scary. There were specific parts that I thought were scary from what I saw, granted.
Gotcha.
But a lot of times it feels like the stuff that's supposed to be scary goes into other territory.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So we're going to be talking about a bunch of shows that do certain things specifically right here. A couple things that will be, like, I would say, tenets of stories that are moments where things can get pretty scary. And I would say the one that we have is pretty universal. The thing between the two of us here that we both really like seems to be this idea of how something can end up going into the disturbing territory.
Well, I have a particular take on this, so I want to hear yours first.
Okay.
But what's your take on the whole disturbing aspect?
Well, the disturbing aspect is when it violates something that you have basically in your line of normal. It's something that you expect things to go one way, and then you are disturbed because there's a distance. There's a negative
dissonance.
There's a dissonance with something where we have Made in Abyss. I would say Made in Abyss is probably my favorite example of a disturbing anime that I very much like how they use the disturbing elements within it, because it just viscerally attaches you to the characters and doesn't kind of force you to disconnect from them. If anything, you grow ever more attached to them. I think of Nanachi as being one of the most primary, like, perfect examples of where everything about Nanachi's story in Made in Abyss is rife with all these disturbing elements with, Mitty for one. No spoilers in this this stream here, but that whole element of where you have this disturbing thing tied so closely to the characters, I find that to be something that I very much prefer over the kind of the shock of the specific moments, but more of the looking to see how these people live within their just the context of their disturbed lifestyle or what have you.
Yeah. The Made in Abyss was one of the other ones that I thought of, and on that one I actually like. It's weird because when you talk about something being scary, it's such a personal thing. Yeah. Right? Because what scares one person won't scare another person, right?
Yep.
Like spiders scare you, but they don't really scare me, right? I might think they're gross, but they don't scare me.
Yeah.
And in the case of like anime and a lot of stories and things like that, I feel like it rarely goes to something that actually scares me. It's more of like I'll find something deeply disturbing, like someone mentioned earlier, like the Berserk manga and like Donovan and things like that. It's like I find that stuff disturbing, but I don't find it scary when I read it because there's this disconnect where I'm not in the story.
Yep.
Right. And even in the case of things like, say, Made in Abyss, right, where we get to know these characters really well, I still don't feel like I am those characters.
But you can be scared for them.
Well, and
that's scary.
Well, but the thing is that in my mind, I see it as a different thing because I'll be worried about whether a character might live or die, right? That's basic conflict. I'm worried on their behalf. I want things to go well for them. But as far as me being scared, like one of the ones I wanted to bring up was ReZero, because ReZero was one of the few ones that was able to make me scared because the main character was scared.
Right.
And even like when thinking about a lot of the stuff that like that show did, it wasn't anything particularly like insane as far as what the main character had to go through compared to some of the extreme stories out there. But there was just something about it that made it so that I was feeling what the main character felt. Even though I knew that, things would reset and everything would be okay, I would get terrified right alongside him. And that's something that doesn't happen a lot for me. Like maybe it's just the I don't know, the mode I need to be in when I'm watching something. But I feel like it more often goes into disturbing or like like if there's something on screen that I don't want to see, like a certain JoJo villain's dramatic end, right? That might gross me out, but I'm not scared by it.
No, but that's the difference between something just being a bloody, violent mess versus something that actually is intending to scare you. And most times, it's very clear when something is made specifically to scare you. And that is what I'm talking about here.
Yep.
When you look at what happens at the end of Made in Abyss, for instance, that is intentionally done there to not just disturb you, but also to scare you. Because when you get to a point where everything's about to descend, and you don't know exactly what's going to happen, but you know it's going to be disturbing, you get that tension build in your stomach as you go, wait.
The anticipation of the
anticipation of the disturbing thing. That's scary because you're not prepared for whatever this thing is that's going to happen. And then when it happens, in some ways, I would say your empathy somewhat saves you, at least for me in my situation, where I go, oh crap, no, I'm feeling so much for Nanachi in this situation here that my feelings of wanting to protect this precious character overrides my fear, and I'm therefore not scared, but I am definitely violently disturbed in that act there. And I would say in general, it's hard to I would say preface this whole thing with what's necessarily scary,
because it's subjective.
Because it's totally subjective, and different people are going to find different things scary to them. Like shout out in chat, what are some of your weird irrational fears? Because for me, it's spiders, and it's something that I think a lot of people have for sure. It's something that is I would say a more common irrational fear. But a lot of them I would say are even more common, like people being scared of the dark, being scared of the unknown, being scared of just death, the idea of the oblivion, the idea of life going and then having an end. Yeah, old age, exactly. Jump scares, walking alone at night. Yeah, those are all kind of the dark and death in that place there. Celestial bodies. I can't stare into the sky for too long, especially at night. See, there you go. Maybe that's a thing of where it's it feels like there's a bunch of eyes staring back at you in the the night. Getting a sharpish object under my toenail and kicking something. Oh, that. That sounds more like a nails on chalkboard kind of
I'd
thing.
rather step on a metal D4 for a D&D dice than have that happen.
Yeah, water. I think the water one is definitely tied to the unknown for sure. So what was your thing in Made in Abyss that really ties into your whole theme of the whole scary versus disturbing thing?
So the main thing that was that I feel like represents it for me is the Berserk Eclipse.
Oh, so not Made in Abyss.
No. I don't with Made in Abyss. I didn't particularly personally see any of the stuff that happened as
scary.
Because there's this difference in my mind between something where I'm engaged and emotionally invested in the outcome of what happens versus actually the thing being scary.
Okay. Okay, so for the Berserk Eclipse.
I would say that is the quintessential everything going wrong, and because of your emotional investment, this is this is about as bad as it could be, right? And yet,
so this is where your imagination actually isn't in effect. It's something where your imagination is no longer able to go beyond this.
Exactly. It's something where basically
it's nothing to do with the unknown in that case. This is where
and
your worst nightmare is being played out in front of you, even though it itself might not be scary.
Right. It's something where I feel like if there isn't some aspect of the unknown, it is very difficult for me to get to see something as being scary. So in the case of, say, the Berserk Eclipse, because it's all something that is very kind of Lovecraftian and just crazy and everything's going badly, my heart breaks and it's disturbing and it scars you for the next 3 weeks as you're crying over what happened.
Right.
But I didn't find it scary. Now maybe that's just because in the case of the Berserk Eclipse, I knew about the Berserk Eclipse going into Berserk, Right. But even without that, I feel like that would just end up going into the disturbing territory.
I think
whereas something like, say, one of the randomest things that was always just terrifying for me was Kosei's mom in Your Lie in April.
Oh,
when it shows her face and she'll just be flickering there, the ghost of her, and you never see her eyes, and she's just staring, and there's the smile and everything. That I found that scary, right?
Yeah,
because there was this idea that I was. It felt like, I don't know, there was something about it that felt more easily to bring myself into, so that I felt it, as opposed to just sympathizing with a character that was scared of it. You know, because like I feel like you can have any kind of situation where a character will be scared of something, because you can make all kinds of crazy things happen in your story, and because it's real for them, for the characters, of course it's scary, but for you as the audience, it's different, because it's, you know, if it's too weird, I can't really get it, or at least it is very difficult for me to get scared by something.
Oh, have you seen any of the like the really crazy manga art of like that one guy that just does mural level art, but it's just violently gross, scary, disturbing imagery?
I've seen images of it,
Yeah.
but I haven't like read it myself.
I just saw like 4 images of that at one point.
Yeah.
I think y'all who know, yeah, Junji Ito, exactly. I just saw like 4 images of that, and I think 2 of them, I was forced to look away. My mind didn't want to look at it for more than about 3 or 4 seconds.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So here's where I want to bring up, I would say, the tenets of what I would describe to be scary for me is the unknown. And I would say the unknown is very present in Made in Abyss. There's this idea of the abyss being the quintessential picture of humans descending down into the dark depths of our minds, our psyche, into something where who knows what's at the bottom. It's the journey towards oblivion that is wrapped in a cute coming of age story, and we all know, because we're adults going into this, that like, well, we all know this isn't going to end well. And even though we have that in some ways reassuring bit that we know it's going to end badly, when little moments like just seeing Mitty kind of waddle up to the boy when he's with Nanachi, just seeing it go like that, just that, where I don't know anything about how harmless Mitty is, or how like there's nothing to be worried about here. Even just Mitty like crawling up over what was her name, Rika, yeah, crawling up onto her and being like, I just want to see if she's okay. That sound combined with this very unknown just blob thing just kind of going like there just had me just like, oh, I don't know, no. You know that cat that just goes, oh, no. Like that's what it feels like to me. I almost have to make myself laugh in order to, because I'm so nervous about it.
So the MIDI thing, I would say that was actually something where I
began to get scared.
Yeah, I found that to start going into scary territory. All the other stuff in Made in Abyss,
right? Because that's more disturbing.
I didn't. Yeah, it was more disturbing.
Right.
Like, but in the case of Mitty, it's here is some unknown thing that is doing some unknown thing. We don't know, like, like we don't have any explanation for it. It's just here and it's doing this thing, and it's like, But the thing is, what it's doing isn't something horrible, right? But it's the idea that it could turn into something horrible, right?
Yeah. Cyros, I definitely wanted to make that connection there. There was a lot in Made in Abyss that felt very much after I had seen some work by Junji Ito that I was like, oh, I definitely feel a connection here. And that just makes perfect sense that was the thing there. An example of this were the corpse weavers in Made in Abyss. The
things that would make the
cries of help and everything like that, and then you see it feeding on a dead person and stuff like that, or puppeteering their vocal cords or what have you to do that's some Lovecraftian do not want kind of stuff there. And it's not that you're scared for some extended period of time, but there's that brief half second where you just go
right. It's the desire to basically be like, that should not exist. You know. Yeah. Sure. Okay.
And my kind of build on this whole thing of the unknown is that when you encounter the unknown, it leads towards what I would say is probably the base thing of most horror, scary type things, is just the idea of building tension. Just the stuff that's going to slowly edge at the bits of your psyche, or just slowly increase your heart rate so you go into minor bits of fight or flight mode.
Yeah,
where
yeah.
you're like,
Those
I'm
little
not
palpitations and things like that.
right.
Yeah.
You're not in a moment where you actually feel like you need to run yet, but you're alert.
Well, right, because
You're alert.
Because I feel like in the case of fear, like you remember when we were watching Monster, and
Yep, that's what I was going to bring up. Yep.
And the background music and everything was playing, and you got to the point where you started feeling like it actually came out of the screen and was like in your body, right? And you were, and like that, I would say is like the epitome of fear. It's the like of something scary. It's where suddenly it might not necessarily stay in whatever it is you're watching anymore.
Right.
Like, so, like, yeah. And Monster, it just does an amazing job of that. And I feel like so much of it is because, like, the realistic art style compared to, like, a lot of other anime, and, like, the fact that it's all, like, you know, normal-ish people. And even in the case of Johan, we don't even really understand him and, you know, what he is and things like that. And then the music and all of that stuff, and preying on the very normal fears that people have, you know.
Right.
Like that's the kind of stuff where it takes on a life of its own for me.
It definitely does. Does for me as well. My favorite part with Monster regarding that tension building stuff is anytime we're in the town at the end and you just see someone like panicking, and they're not panicking because there's some like crazy monster out there about to get them. They're panicking because they realize that other people are panicking. They're panicking because they're in an environment where they don't know what's going on. See, it's the unknown. They're worried about the potential dramatic actions that people could take that could lead to their death or what have you. So things start to escalate slowly. And there's this tension that's constantly being built in the final arc of Monster that leads to probably one of the most like uniquely like different styles of endings, where it's not as climactic as it could be. It's something where it's more personal, and something where it's a little bit more character driven, and a lot of that tension in a way is released on the way towards the ending, because it's not about now the potential mass paranoia fear that's going on in this whole area because of, you know, the action taken by the characters in the story, but just that, oh my god, at the very least we know this is ending sometime soon. And then, you know, Johan does his stuff, and that's that. And no spoilers there.
Right.
But this is maybe another one here that I think you have a couple mentions of here, are those moments when the character is close to, the character that you're getting a lot of focus to and you care about is getting close to breaking or has broken. Like, broken their psyche.
Yeah, it's... That's a weird one, because like ReZero is an example where it's all about, you know, taking the main, like it's the true self-insert protagonist for the isekai, right?
Totally.
You know, where you get the pretty much regular person that gets thrown into this world, and all the bad stuff that you would expect to happen if that were to actually happen do happen, right? You know, and it focuses on it. And ReZero is a weird one, because in a lot of ways it's still just something where you sympathize with the main character because they care, and because death is scary and things like that.
Yeah.
So you don't want all these bad things to happen, even though you know that there won't be any physical lasting effect. But because it was this idea of, like, because basically, I don't know, there was just something about how the show did it, how the show presented everything, so that I felt like I was really close to Subaru as far as the struggles that he went through and all the stuff that would happen to him. And then as he slowly descended into madness, basically, it was this thing of, yeah, I believed it, you know, and the idea that because maybe he was a self-insert, there was this idea that, yeah, that's probably what would end up happening to me too, you know, and then that kind of made it able to come out of the screen a little bit for me.
Yeah. So with regards to not just the actual breaking of a person's psyche in the story, but actually showcasing the steps by which that happened, showcasing how it is very realistic and possible to happen. I think that one of the scariest characters in all of fiction, that's also one of the most well-liked characters in all of fiction, is the Joker. And it's less actually because of how scary he is, but it's more so that he has this idea, especially in the Killing Joke, of the one bad day that, you know,
right,
comes around and then he slips and goes into madness, and there's all the things that come from that. But in a lot of specific anime that we've watched, there are characters that are extremely strong in their mental psyche. They have some aspect of their mental willpower that then extends out to others, and then they dominate that person's mind and basically break them. There are moments that happen like this in Psycho-Pass. There are moments like this that happen in ReZero. I can think of multiple moments like that in
and
ReZero,
Johan is like the kingpin of these moments.
Yeah,
in
and then Johan is basically the god of this kind of thing in anime. There are multiple other characters that do very, very similar things to this. I think of also Dio when he breaks the senator at the end of part 3. A moment where you basically have what ends up being almost comedic.
Yeah,
but
because it's JoJo's.
Because it's JoJo's. But when you realize what's being done to the guy, there's something actually a little unnerving, and maybe less so in JoJo's because of the pomp surrounding it all, and also the hilarious lines that are given that are so hyper-specific. Yeah, Senator Phillips, exactly. Yeah. But when you see him break, because he keeps getting thrown back into the car, and then he has to, like, drive over, you know, civilians and stuff like that. And it's just like, oh my god, this is ridiculous. I would say Hunter x Hunter has a little bit of that as well. But my favorite moment of this is probably one of the most disturbing ones, and also I would say the most messed up of all of them as well. There's a moment in Monster where Johan talks to a boy. And that's all he does. He just talks to him. And within a few minutes of talking to this boy, he sets him on a path. And at the end of this path, the boy tries to kill himself. This was...
Little kid.
This was like the kind of thing where you go, oh my god, I remember what it was like to be a kid. Imagine if some adult with, you know, a genius level intellect and a smart... kind of way of interacting with kids, but then also
the
a completely malevolent, messed up mind comes up and just talks to you, and just brings that out of you. That's the kind of stuff where I don't need to be attached to the boy, or even attached to Johan, to then immediately kind of take my own mind and realize that people like this could exist in our real world. And my imagination does enough of the work for me that there's no build up towards it. My brain just eventually catches on to the premise of what's going on here. And then all of a sudden I realize, oh, I'm scared. Like something just kind of insidiously was set in there, and then it just grew and budded, and now I'm like, oh wait, my heart rate's going up. What's going on? And I would say that this is where the disturbing and the scary line really is bordered there.
Right, because the thing is that in the case of what Johan did with that boy, incredibly disturbing, right? Yeah. But the thing is, there was something so realistic about it, like so real feeling. Even if say people like that on the level of Johan don't necessarily exist. Yeah, reality is stranger than fiction, and the stuff that you can show in a story does not compare to what goes on in real life. And the idea that the fact that we exist like this and are able to be semi-functioning human beings is largely in part due to the fact that we didn't meet people like that, right? And that's scary stuff. That's scary stuff.
So that combination of having the limits of human psyche in the story being explored, I would say, is that perfect bridging of the unknown versus the tension for me. Because when I encounter the unknown, I'd say it leads to tension. But there are often times where I would say the thing that brings out the most tension is when I see something that I understand, that I know, that I have a connection to. Because then I just kind of go, oh, this is unnerving me. It's setting me into that heightened awareness state. When I'm in the unknown, I'm thinking about the future. I'm thinking about the potential of what the thing is that could go wrong. It's kind of like that thing of I would say that the what's scary about the Berserk eclipse is not what's actually happening. It's the idea that what could happen to Casca. what could happen basically to our characters that, you know, we see there. And then while we'll see some jump scare moments and stuff like that, like that's a part where it's like, okay, cool, yeah, that was a jump scare.
The reason why for me personally I think it doesn't end up being that scary is that the fact that it's the Berserk Eclipse actually does a lot to help. Like even if the circumstances of the Berserk Eclipse are horrible, it's in this stylized Berserk Eclipse setup and setting, right? It's not the idea of like, you know, if say what happened to Casca were to happen in like a, you know, like, you know, just everyday sort of setting story, and then that happens, right? That would make it way more terrifying for me than, you know, when it's okay, there's the God Hand and, you know, demon sacrifice and everything, right? Maybe it's different for you. But
I don't agree at all.
but for me personally, it's like okay, yeah, it's right there. It's on the screen. It's disturbing, and you know, and it really sucks for the characters, right? And I wish it didn't happen, you know. But it's just there.
Gotcha.
It's just there.
Huh. Interesting.
I can keep it sequestered that way.
So have you ever been scared watching anything? Like when was the times you were genuinely scared watching anime?
Things like the Kosei's mom in July and April, or Johan. Generally, just Johan. Johan knocks everything out of the park.
Okay, what would be some other ones for you?
So we can break that down. ReZero was a little bit. There were some parts
in ReZero.
I can't remember too much of like the details of ReZero because it all kind of like blended together.
Okay. Were they jump scares?
It wasn't the jump scares. It was the idea of Subaru basically being trapped somewhere where he shouldn't be and struggling. But
that sounds like the Twister part.
It's the yeah, but in the Twister
part, the only part where he was really trapped, if I remember correctly.
Right, but in the Twister part, it was right. But the thing is, in that situation, it was something where he couldn't do anything.
Okay.
And I feel like if you're in a situation where you truly can't do anything, it's less scary because you can't mess it up. It's just something that you are going to have to suffer through, whether you like it or not.
Okay.
When it's something where maybe there's something you can do, but you can mess it up, and then you'll have to go through that again. That's scary to me. Like so. There were a bunch of little.
What would be an example of that?
I mean, most of the struggles that he was put through, where it was basically that anticipation of, I think I'm going to die a horrible death, but I might not.
Gotcha.
You know, because you know that he's going to die a lot because that's the nature of the show. But since he doesn't necessarily know that, and because it's a real horrible thing to him every single time it happens, and sometimes he's able to avoid it or put it off or whatever.
Yeah.
It was this weird feeling of basically being able to take the gloves off of what is possible here because there were no permanent consequences.
Gotcha.
Not in the traditional sense, right? And then the other one is Yuno Gasai. And I do not like Mirai Nikki as a show. And most of
crazy yandere girl.
Yes, and most of her scenes in Mirai Nikki, even then, I would say, are not scary for me. It's more of just the generally like creepy,
Yuki.
You know. Yeah, exactly. The stalker girlfriend that's like, okay, yeah, you know, whatever, she's doing her thing, and it's entertaining and it's great fun to watch, right?
Right.
Specifically those parts and pretty much nothing else. But there was a part where he basically the main character, you know, Yuki, he realizes he sees some dead bodies in her house, right? And up till this point he didn't think, like, he was a little bit creeped out by her, but he didn't have the idea of, okay, this person is a psycho, right?
Okay.
And then he basically went over to her house, and he while she's off doing something else, he sees the bodies, then freaks out, you know, tries to hide everything up, and then she comes back, and he's nervous, he's freaking out, and then he basically excuses himself and leaves, but, you know, it's the thing of, like, she can tell that something's up, and then he goes home, and he's about to call the police. And then because of the rules of the universe, basically, she constantly gets updates on what he's doing. So then she basically says, who are you going to call? What's wrong? You know, like she just sends him a text. And it's this idea that he can never escape her.
Gotcha.
Like she knows exactly where he is. She will follow him to ever. He is done.
So it's the unknown then.
Yeah, it's a large aspect of the unknown, and the idea that something and because it was done in that in a way where it was like, okay, I could see someone basically in this day and age, because of like the internet and whatnot, getting to a point where it's like, you know, they just come after you maybe, and you can't really get away from them. I don't know, I don't like, it's one of those things that doesn't necessarily have a whole lot of logic to it. Like there are places where I'm like, okay, that doesn't make sense, right? Because there's no way someone would just be like, oh yes, I know exactly what this person's doing. But the idea that of being in that situation where basically you're trapped and maybe you can get out, but you can't really.
Gotcha.
That scared the crap out of me.
Okay. And there's an inevitability of that, which I guess makes it so it's less about kind of the ways you can screw it up. It's more just like that's the example of where it's the inevitable doom. That's like the scare of death, you know, where it's the thing where you cannot really do anything. This is something that is coming for you. The inevitable oblivion of your non-existence, basically, and it will just eventually catch up to you.
Well, right, and it was the idea that even though there was you know, in say the Gasai situation, there wasn't really anything that he could do to stop it. There could be, and maybe he just wasn't thinking about it, you know.
Okay.
But so it wasn't you're locked up in like shackled in chains, you know. It was maybe, but anything that you try could end up just going very badly, you know.
Oh,
like,
okay.
And that was yeah.
Okay. I don't know if this segues really well into my next one, but one of my favorite things about anime that can be very scary is that because it's a visual medium, one of the crazy things you can do is you can just put anything on screen. You can absolutely put anything you want on this screen, and it just can be whatever. And recently, we've been going through a lot of Satoshi Kon works, and I love Satoshi Kon's works. I love them. They're so freaking good. But one of the things that's really a crazy, I would say, similar thing about Satoshi Kon's works is that he messes with your idea of perception. What you're seeing is not necessarily real. And this is something that I would say is a very scary thing, at least for me, is the idea that I cannot fully trust my perceptions. And when I think about paranoia agents specifically, there are certain things that are happening that you have to kind of take with the grain of salt of, okay, this is there's a bit of a, you know, unreliable kind of perception kind of thing going on here, but it's also the unknown of what's going on within the whole situation. And once you realize that, you know, there's a lot of symbolism and there's a lot of meta commentary being made, it can pull your way out of the scary parts, if anything. Because I would say the show is not actually that scary. It's more unnerving at certain parts.
Right, yeah.
But my tie into this is just that little pink plushie doll thing with the eyes.
Oh,
Just the specific moments where it'll just be there in the background. And you'll just be like,
why do they keep showing that? Yeah,
its eyes will move or what have you, and you'll just be like, wait, no.
I feel like that's basically what like QB was a lot for me, but then he also spoke, so that made it easier.
I found QB's shadow scarier than QB.
Oh yeah, QB's shadow was like,
that's a great example of where to tie in with this, is that there are characters where it's not actually their physical look that is scary. It is just the idea of their presence. Johan is a great example of that. You'll hear his theme music in the background.
Johan doesn't even have to be on the screen. In fact, when he is on the screen, that's usually when it's less scary.
Yep.
Then it just goes into this is disturbing, right? But it's the idea of him, because then it's something that infects your mind.
Yep. Absolutely.
Would you find horrific events happening scary if it happens through no fault of your own, or something that could have been avoided? For me, it's if it's something that or a mistake anyone could make.
Oh.
Yeah, if it's a mistake anyone could make, that's something that I find a lot more scary, because then there's the idea that it's something that could happen in this world. Who's to say that that's not how things work here? Whereas when it's something that's like say the Berserk eclipse, I know that there's never going to be a Berserk eclipse. You know, like I don't need to worry about someone awakening the God Hand and saying I sacrifice. You know, like that. So it's like, okay, yeah, I don't have to worry about that. But
yeah,
you know, other stuff, it's like, I don't know, maybe.
one thing that generally lacks with anime is sound design, which is a very big factor in abusing your senses.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Monster had some of the best sound
Just that-
design of all the anime we've ever seen.
It's absolutely flawless.
I would say A Made in Abyss also had that as well, with the characters just voice acting. Just that's not sound design as much, but it is
right, but the
in how they
dissonance
mix
of a child basically, like, you know, crying out in terror. Or
yeah,
pain
the
or-
monster sounds and what have you. Some of them are pretty pretty disturbing as well. The one episode where Cowboy Bebop where Spike fights the dude at the amusement park, the background park music is also creepy. Yeah, that's pretty creepy. Yeah.
True horror lies in the uncertainty of whether or not your bits will be read. Jad the Mad.
Oh, geez, Jad the Mad. I'm so sorry. 100 bits. Thank you so much. I haven't really watched any horror or thriller anime, so I've only been unnerved by some Chimera Ant moments and human transmutation shenanigans in FMAB. Yeah, I know what you mean. That's all for anime specifically, but there was one animation that scared me. Shakespeare, the animated tales, particularly the episodes based on Macbeth and Hamlet. Whilst the plays themselves aren't necessarily scary, the ghostly voice acting and haunting experimental animation has stuck with me for years.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's also the Uncanny Valley area, where you'll see something that's meant to resemble human beings, or it's meant to sound human, and it's just often just the right way where it like genuinely messes you up. I know that there were some animated movies from back in the day that didn't have that great animation that had a very resounding impact in scaring me in the same way. I believe one of them was it might have been The Black Cauldron, like the old school. I don't know if that was Disney or if that was Don Bluth, but the old school one there. Yeah. True horror is knowing that Caleb may never read Domestic Girlfriend and be forever uncultured. Pepe Hands. Well,
it's true, and it does me good to know that there are so many people in here that understand that. Yes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. One of the ideas of something that I wanted to bring up here is there's a very clear difference here, because you talked about how it's not something that is something where you're scared for the characters. It has to be something that actually
gets out into me.
Right. It has to be something that breaks the fourth wall. It has to leave the story.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I need that much. I don't think I need that much. Personally, I get scared enough just by getting scared for the characters, basically.
Gotcha.
I get a little bit over invested into the characters in that respect. And one of my biggest fears in stories is when a story basically threatens to, you know that goofy meme, I'll do it again, you know, kind of meme. It's the, you didn't like that character death, I'll do it again, you know. And in certain shows, in certain anime, they will threaten what I call the TPK. Well, that's a D&D reference, but
Total
it's
party kill.
Total party kill. The Black Cauldron was Disney. Secret of Nim was Don Bluth. They look similar, I think. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so this is Luna. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I feel like a path to better horror in animation is abusing the internal tropes built up in the medium to unsettle the viewer. We need directors willing to be experimental. So I'm talking about this not necessarily in the director kind of production style of things, but the actual story things. One of the things that's, I would say, very rare in stories is to basically threaten your entire protagonist group with I'm just going to kill them all. Or, like, you're actually just going to make them all start to go crazy. There's two, I would say there's two specific moments where in anime they threatened the TPK and it seemed like they were actually going to do it, just at least for a good chunk of it here. And I think they were both in JoJo's actually recently.
Oh yeah.
There's the encounter with Dio and Vanilla Ice. So Vanilla Ice basically gets a near TPK. In fact, he should have.
Right.
Polnareff is insanely lucky.
Yeah.
But that's an example of where you're just like, everything is going wrong. It's basically a Berserk Eclipse style thing. It's a TPK. Yeah. We're killing everyone.
Yep.
With the Berserk style Eclipse, I think one of the things that makes it be okay is, because of the way the story is set up, that Guts is literally going to survive this.
Right.
But there are some stories
else.
Right. But there are some stories where they will break those kind of rules and say, that protagonist, I'm just going to kill them all. Like that one
Right.
and that one. I'm just
Well,
gonna kill them.
and like that was the point of like spoilers, Game of Thrones season 1, but that was the point of like Ned Stark. It's like you think he's the main character up to this point, so then when he dies, it's like, hold on, wait, so now anyone can go. Like, and then suddenly that's on the table. Whereas before, you know, if Ned Stark hadn't died, people probably would have been like, yeah, okay, but at least we know Ned's gonna be okay. You know, we know things won't go that badly.
Right. Yeah, Cyros, thank you so much for the 100 bits. The fact that you brought up if it can never happen, it's not scary is pretty interesting, since I really love cosmic horror, which is all about trying to creep you out with concepts far beyond your imagination, where the thing is that if it would ever happen, you would have absolutely no idea how to deal with it because it doesn't exist. Yeah, I have read a couple things that go into semi-cosmic horror stuff, and the thing is, I've never been able to really find my imagination's limits with regards to those kinds of things. It's always like, oh, yeah, that seems interesting. Like, that's about as bad as it would get for that kind of thing. I get scared about the more plausible things, or about the things where they break established rules for the purpose of building up tension. And I really get scared of those kinds of things in I would say what's not at all a TPK, but there's a moment in Haikyuu where a character suddenly gets injured, and it's just this moment where they cut the episode. It's a head injury, it's a very serious all of a sudden thing,
right?
And it gives you the think of like, whoa, we're in a happy-go-lucky sports anime. You can't kill anyone in this, right?
Yeah, there was a
right. And like Jacob and I were like, nah, he's fine.
Right.
But it was just like...
The thing is that in a happy-go-lucky sports anime, even you don't have to kill the person in order to kill them, right?
Right.
You make it be so that, you know, okay, like paralyzed, you know, or something, I don't know, you know, some serious injury, that's essentially a character death.
Yeah.
There was a show, you haven't seen it, where basically there's a kid character and they end up getting a fever.
Okay.
And that's the conflict, is that they're really young, and they get a fever, and it's a bad fever. It's a bad fever.
Yeah.
And then it's something where the parent is just like, I don't know if they're going to be okay. Like I really don't. And that was one of those things where I almost mentioned it here, where it's and in a case like that, it was something for me where it hit me so much because it was the idea that, yeah, this could happen. You know,
right.
like this is something that happens in, you know, in real life, and who knows, you know, like the human body is actually a very fragile thing. You know, it just gets a little bit too hot, and, you know, bad things start happening.
For sure. TPK on webcam could maybe Jacob's most notorious horror. Imagine if this occurs on Thursday's Bazoink Ghost stream.
Oh man,
Andrew, you're the funniest, wackiest Twitch viewer we have. Like. your random comments just make my day. Oh man.
Clan had flashbacks.
Clanad, is that the one with the too many Coors before it gets good kind of thing?
Basically, people will execute me for this and burn me at the stake. But yeah, but the where when it hits its stride, it is like the best slice of life stuff like ever. It is
cool.
Really good.
The other one that I feel like tends to go a little bit into the kind of the TPK thing of but these are the rules, you don't actually have to worry about you know, this kind of thing happening, is the main character deaths that aren't built up necessarily. Those ones where you have someone that's a huge part of the narrative or a huge part of the actual story there, and then they drag out once they're dead or dying, and it becomes this thing of just like, wait, you're scared not because this act is scary. It's the idea that you might have to end the story in an unsatisfying way, and you're scared that you just built up. It's like a past scare built on context that you build up. You built up all this time with this character, this story, and then you know, oh my god, and they're just gonna die at the end of this. What? that sometimes gets, I'd say, people more angry than scared though.
I doubt the modern community would, Jacob. People haven't praised Clanad as anything but trash in like a decade. That's surprising, and yet I kind of see what
right, because they separated into Clanad and Clanad After Story. That's
right, and the idea that the format for Clanad is very dated. So yeah. Well, okay, Black Lagoon, that was one that I was considering bringing up with the
Okay.
whole, twin arc in the beginning of the second season. But again, that's like I feel like that's an example where it just goes hyper disturbing, not scary, really.
Also, I think, Jacob, the reason ReZero gets to you so well is it's a character study, so you can get very invested in Subaru and his faults and see some of your own in there.
Sure, potentially, yeah, I could see that being it, and then because of that, it helps, yeah, because it's as weird as this is to say, Subaru is just a really good self-insert,
Yeah.
he is a really good self-insert where the growth and development that happens is something that is very feasible to happen for you, and yet he's his own character.
Yeah, and in some ways the environment creates his character. One of the things that's kind of hilariously meta about isekai is that there's no actually really isekai moment usually. They just kind of just wake up and then the story starts with them in the fantasy world. You have no attention or attachment to them pre-fantasy world a lot of the times, especially in, I'd say, the more modern ones. Or if they do, it's like by the end of the episode or what have you, they've already gone into the fantasy world, and the only thing you've really, given attention to their character for is the, like what their looks are, their attributes or something. So yeah, with Subaru, he's a fantastic main character, and in some ways I would say it's perfect for his medium of story that he's in, because it's all something where he's just reacting to this crazy stuff around him, and gets kind of dragged around through this stuff, partially I would say partially a bit proactive, because he kind of knows I'm in a fantasy world.
He moves in directions,
perfect,
but he
wonderful.
is very much on the DM's plot rails, and the idea that the level of like mental breakdown that he has, even though the circumstances of being in a fantasy world are extreme, the idea that if we were to be subjected to enough crap over time, we wouldn't beat it. Like we wouldn't, Yeah,
for sure. Insert name here. Thank you so much for the follow. Appreciate it. The ReZero thing is also because outside of the series mechanic, the horrors and fail states in the show are very realistic. Fail states?
Oh, like what happens to Subaru as he starts to come apart? Like,
I don't know. Strange line of thoughts, but in the hands of a more experienced writer, SAO wouldn't have been an amazing vehicle for horror.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
The whole
I really
thing
wish it would have.
Well, and the whole idea, like your thing of the TPK, like if you take a main character,
oh my god,
and then you give them
of SAO,
right, and then give them a TPK, right, and then like that'd like they would be absolutely traumatized after that, and then you can have the horror elements be a lot more accentuated, I feel like, because that's what they're looking for. That's how they see the world. The world is now a scary, dark place for them.
Stupid question, like really stupid. Would coming in from an ethereal void into a physical realm and being bound to it count as an isekai? I think so. I think so. Oh, fail states is in the deaths torture. When I say fail states, I mean whenever something horrible happens to a character, when they get punished for failing an objective.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay.
Sure, so like getting eaten alive by wild dogs, or...
Right.
Yeah.
Because you smell like shit. Is that really a reason to kill someone?
I love that video so much.
One of the best
abridged
ever. Ever. You ever get that feeling of deja vu?
Like Subaru, when we saw him go insane, he gets back his sanity, but he's now entirely driven by spite and anger, and he tries to hide it under a persona, but he's failing. People notice something's wrong. So look at the season 2 trailer. You can see the rage just bubbling in his eyes. I mean, yeah, it's the
season 2 trailer like entirely brought back my excitement for ReZero, because I've already said this like many times. I don't think ReZero is that good, but I think it's good at certain parts.
But because
that's
like
about it.
For a show that was so like extra and ham-fisted at parts, to have it go for like the complete minimalist trailer, you're like,
oh yeah. Yeah, I don't care about any of these side characters. Give me Subaru, give me a simple path filled with just carnage on the sides, and his objective right in front of him. Yeah.
And the idea of like the scenes that we got in ReZero that were kind of slice of lifey, where it's like him interacting with, like doing all those little things of trying, that when you think about it are him trying to cope with the stuff that he's going through, gives so much more weight to when the horrible stuff happens, you know. Like,
yeah.
Like, or at least for me, you know, like him needing to just like pet the fluffy Puck and just be like, okay, everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah. There are certain scenes like that, but there's a lot of other stuff where it's just like, nah,
yes.
this is dumb. This is dumb padding. I don't care about
What are you talking about? Neither Amelia nor Rem pad themselves.
Remember how he gets like scammed by or manipulated by the whole cat faction or what have you, little merchant? Yeah, exactly, and eats like cakes or whatever with them at the restaurant. Yeah, there's all kinds of just. I rewatched. Okay, this is actually a really random tangent, but I rewatched ReZero season 1 recently. Recently, more like 6 months ago, but it was over the course of like a month.
Considering that you never thought you'd watch it again.
Yeah, because I was just like, okay, it's not that bad. So I went back and through it, and I realized that the beginning of ReZero is actually the best part of ReZero. I used to think it was just the mansion arc, and I would say the mansion arc is one of the best parts of ReZero. The ending has some problems, obviously, but I would say also it's one of the better parts because of the whole idea of him figuring out, like, wait, why am I still dying in this house? You know, basically.
Yeah.
But the beginning is set up so well for not only his character, but also just the horrific element of him figuring out, why did I die when I get killed and not die forever, you know?
Right.
Why did I not
die when I get killed?
Yeah, why did I not die forever when I got killed, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So that stuff's really good. And still, if I take the whole season in package there, I still have about the same, you know, opinions about it, but I appreciate the littler moments more. So I know what you mean when you say that there's little slice of life, calm, quiet moments that give added meaning to it. But I would say it's
but there were a lot of those that could have been cut.
It's like 20% of the total amount of those moments I actually really appreciate.
They a lot of them could have maybe been done better or been done with different characters potentially, you know.
I'm a little bit salty about just the last third of ReZero. That's all it is.
Well, and I what I love is that you're saying like my overall opinion has basically remained the same, and yet this seems like you're vastly more like appreciative of ReZero than you used to be.
No, I know. I definitely do see it as like a 6 out of 10 show, maybe 7 out of 10.
Oh, now we can have that 3-hour conversation.
Yeah, exactly. What's the difference between a 6 or a 7 out of 10? Yeah, but I don't like attaching numbers to things anymore.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so that's probably the limit of the things that I've found scary that I like. The things that I like that are also scary in anime that I've seen, and this is also something that's good to bring up, is that, yeah, like a lot of people have said, I don't actually find there to be that many things in anime that legitimately scare me. I do find the things that are maybe more psychologically disturbing to be the things that come close to scaring me.
Okay.
But I don't have nightmares or moments of just like, oh, you know, with things that are in anime. But there are definitely things where it just meddles with my insides a little bit too much in the moment. And then I'm thinking about it, you know, afterwards with this almost moment of like, I'm glad that was over. I'm glad I'm not going back to that, but I can't, you know, I can't not think about it.
Sure.
So I'm curious to know what are some of those moments in anime for you guys that are like, okay, this was pretty scary. And I mean, you probably might have to be a little bit safe because of, you know, spoilers and such, but yeah.
Once again, can we just give the Fate franchise to Urabuchi?
Can we?
I mean,
can we please? Oh my god, Fate Zero is so good. It's something where I think maybe we've hit that point right about, I don't know, a few years ago where people are like, no, Fate Zero also is overrated. Like they came full circle around to where it's like, Fate Zero is amazing. It's a masterpiece. So good. And then they're like, a lot of good stuff has come out recently. Fate Zero is kind of overrated. It's just like, oh my god.
I think it's that the UFO table animation for Fate Zero, people have been spoiled a bit, so
yes,
they don't fully appreciate just how goddamn sexy Berserker looks in Fate Zero, or you know, just how awesome all of Iskandar's speeches are. But yeah,
live action for you is scary, or why it's casual? Okay, yeah, for sure. I do think that a lot of the things that I've seen in live action that even get at the psychologically disturbing stuff tends to be a little bit scarier than the psychologically disturbing stuff that I see in anime.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And that might be just because of the medium being a little bit closer to realism. So who knows?
Ooh, what is Caleb's 10 out of 10 show?
What is
I mean, probably Haikyuu. Or is it just Airbender? I don't know.
I think I'd have to think about that, because I think I could easily just say Airbender, but it would be more like that show has so many 10 out of 10 episodes that I can get away with calling it a 10 out of 10 show.
Well, and it's saying what is someone's 10 out of 10 thing, it's kind of an oxymoron, because you're basically saying what, in your subjective opinion, is objectively perfect.
No, because that's the thing. The whole number of things is all subjective nonsense anyway. It's just you saying which shows are you more biased towards like because of your whatever. And I would say Avatar: The Last Airbender is probably an easy one for me there. I could come up with some other actual anime ones eventually, but I wouldn't know right now. Also, Caleb, you need to watch more 90s hentai. Then you'll be scared. Meddled with my insides. It's appropriate. Oh my god. I didn't even think about it that way. No.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about the Monogatari series so far?
I started reading the light novels. Good. And I mean, it's really good. Like Kabuki Monogatari is amazing.
Kabuki. It is so good.
But I started the light novel for Bake, the first one, and amazing. Like I'm kind of in love with Nisio Isin's writing style. Like I'm just surprised that Shaft was able to make the adaptation they did. Like, yeah.
In general, Fate is much better written when it's much more engaging when it's written with a balance of grit and humor. The mobile games dip into Urabuchi style Fate a few times here and there, and that's when it gets super engaging. Okay. Gen is best when he's writing characters over plot. I agree. See, Maiden Abyss. I mean, Madoka Magica.
Well, yeah, and like, can you have horror that's based on concept, not characters? Like,
totally.
Like, I mean, maybe with cosmic horror, things like that.
The cosmic horror
but even then, the way you portray that is through how it affects the characters. You know, like
Lovecraftian horror is an example.
I have the entire work actually of H.P. Lovecraft
right
by my bed.
Yeah,
and I haven't read it yet because it's a thick book, but yeah.
You should watch Cube. It's one of your all-time favorite character-driven horror movies of all time. Okay, thanks, Wilho. Yeah. Personally, a 10 isn't perfect for me, just a really good show that also does something to change the way you think about the medium or leave a lasting mark on the medium in a positive way.
Sure.
Yeah, for me, it's a show that I just don't care about the flaws that it has.
Right.
They're so few compared to the big things that I don't see it as a
so like there. Domestic Girlfriend.
No, I would say A Place for the Universe is a 10 out of 10 for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I know where the flaws are now that I've seen it 4 times.
Right, but even then it's like...
But I don't care.
Yeah,
It's so good. Madhouse Studio Original.
Lovecraft is very inconsistent on quality. Some is great, some is not. Okay, good to know.
We have not seen Shiki, but thanks for the recommendation, Ramiz. Lovecraft is very inconsistent on quality. Some is great, some is not. Well, yeah, of course.
Anime show, can't decide. Movie, however, is still No Game, No Life 0. I'm waiting for the day that I can find a movie that will surpass it. Wow. I mean, that is a great movie.
Yeah.
Bum.
I'm no expert, but sleeping next to Lovecraft writing sounds like bad fling shi. Yeah, Jacob, it might be a good experiment. Just
maybe that's why I've been having why I had insomnia a week ago.
I don't know. I'm not into that kind of weird superstition though. Dominican, thank you so much for the follow.
Yeah,
glad to have you here.
That's actually one of the things that I think about it now. Like, I'm not really into the supernatural type stuff either. So like, whenever they do like the kind of like courage test stuff in anime, and granted it's it's anime, whatever, and they're and their kids and everything, like they're whatever, but it's one of those things of like, is that something that actually happens in Japan? Like, is like, because and maybe it's because like culturally over there there's a lot more like myths about like spirits and things like that and whatnot, but
and over here it's way less superstitious.
Yeah.
I mean, we do have a lot of like religion and cults and things
and
like that
reality TV about ghost hunting, but you know.
Well, also a lot of stupid people, but like,
Yes.
but like,
Will I ever use any of this when I'm older? People now believe the Earth is flat. That what was the list on the meme? Yeah, and like
people like looking at their textbook. Will I use any of this when it's older? And then they believe that the Earth is flat. Believe in astrology. What are some of the other?
Or Scientology, and that like antibiotics give you like
no, it's vaccines.
and vaccines give you like. Yeah.
Society is scary. That's
scary.
That's the truly.
Oh, you know what I find scary? Student loans. Compounding interest.
working against you. The eighth wonder of the world crushing you.
Shit right there.
Oh my gosh. Speaking of horror, you guys should you should one day find a way to stream Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem. That sounds like the most edgy crap ever, but like I will take your word for it, Lunar.
Thank you. The Earth was flat before the fall of Numenor. Imbecile.
Oh my god. Oh my god, that's amazing.
Want to scare both the bros and the Twitch viewers? Play Dark Souls and spend 16 weeks trying to beat the first boss. Hey, you guys have seen me play Ori. Like how long it took me for me to escape from the freaking tree.
See,
like
I almost want to play Dark Souls.
Mm-hmm.
Just to prove you guys wrong, that the one part that I will probably not be able to beat is that one part in, I think it's the first game, because I've seen so many people die at this part, where you're just in a dark area with a lot of platforming. It's just a bunch of traps.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, it just sounds like bad design.
Well, it's
just memorization.
It's just masochism is the thing. It's like
I can definitely beat a boss in a game where you have a move set of things you have to remember.
Right, and of course it'd be crazy frustrating and stuff.
Yeah.
But the idea of like, let's have you do something that's just not fun. Like it's not like it's literally just experimental death till you get past it. Like it's not even and there's not even really like you were really good at Ori. Well, thank you, Wilho. Man,
that's great. Sounds edgy, but it's one of the most well-respected horror video games out there. Okay, cool. Thanks, Lunar. I may explain this poorly, but I feel like a type of horror that really resonates with me is where a single mundane concept is made abstract and unnatural. Yes, I agree. One example is Junji Ito's Uzumaki, the thesis of which is that spirals, as in the shape, are terrifying. The images and ideas he pulls out of this come together to form one of the most quintessential horror manga.
I would love to see this because I feel like it... Like, there's things that, like, the stuff that I was talking about before of having it leave the screen, or leave the page kind of a thing. I'd be really interested to see how you do that in a manga, because, like, the idea of spirals, that just doesn't seem like something that would be, scary. Like maybe you could make a lot of disturbing stuff, but...
Well, yeah, but the reason why I spent 3 hours on that boss Sularon was not because it was actually hard, but because I was under-geared, and I couldn't actually leave the boss.
I feel like it would be really fun to do, like, a comparison of, like, how long does it take Caleb to go through Dark Souls? How long does it take Jacob to go through Dark Souls? Where it's, like...
competitive...
Yeah.
Dark Souls.
Because, like, I did way better on Slay the Spire Ascension, climbing than you did.
No, you just started doing.
I mean, I beat the heart before you, and in less time, and I got to 20 on all the things before you.
You haven't gotten to 20 on all of them.
No, I'm not there on the Watcher yet, but.
Oh, you've gotten there to all 3 of the main ones?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sweet, then you did beat me. Yeah, I'm on 19 with the defect.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Experimental death until you get past it. Sounds like USSR versus Nazi Germany. Oh my god. Jesus. For me, a great show is how it can express the soul of characters by visuals and body language, plus a good OST. Yeah, for sure. Body horror, yeah, definitely. The anti-spiral was right all along.
Oh, trust me, Junji Ito. The damn spirals.
Oh my god. Oh wait, yeah, Uzumaki is coming next year as a mini-series, right? Oh, that sounds exciting. Baby steps, Caleb. Ori, Hollow Knight, then Dark Souls. And you're always under-geared in Dark Souls. Okay. I mean, that's probably true. But, like, Dark Souls at the very least has like a very simple, I would say, specific style of gameplay, and it is all about the gameplay, whereas Witcher is not about the gameplay primarily. So it's got some like
it's the story.
It's got some binary like good things in the gameplay and bad things in the gameplay.
Gotcha.
So
trust me when I say this, manga does horror extraordinarily well. Also, if you're going to delve into Junji Ito's work, I recommend doing it with the physical books. Ito uses the medium of manga to the fullest when it goes to suspense buildup. Okay, awesome. Because I think I love the idea of the suspense buildup horror where basically because it doesn't come off of the screen for me, it's just like it's just manipulating my physical state to be like, oh, you know, and then anticipating the next jump scare and then freaking out when there's the next jump scare or whatever, you know?
Oh, so talking about Uzumaki, the Spiral story in Junji Ito, there is a 4-episode anime coming next year with a lot of big people involved. Just saying. Whoa. Dang, that's cool. It's gonna be
Junji Ito anime adaptations of a bad record. I could see that if like the medium changes.
Well, it's because the art is so dang good that they just,
right.
It's the same thing with Berserk. They just probably can't actually do it, you know, justice.
Well, and I almost feel like in the case of like a really good horror manga, you would almost want to use the silence of the fact that you're just reading a manga, right? Whereas like how would that translate into an anime?
Huh. I don't know. I think it might work rather well. It would just be tough to, you know, basically make sure that the OST kind of fits properly with the visuals and such. But yeah. The director of Mushishi and the composer of Hereditary are involved. Okay, well, Mushishi is very well known and as well critically acclaimed. Okay.
You can have silence in anime as well. Yes. I totally get that. It's different though, right? Because like there's silence in anime, and then there's something to simulate the effect of silence without actually being silence. Like, yeah. Scariest movie you've seen? I don't know. Although I haven't seen Get Out, and Caleb was saying that apparently I really need to see that one.
No, Get Out's not scary. No, that's not why you need to see that one.
Oh,
I would say the scariest movie I've ever seen is not probably that scary, whatever it is. It was a little scary, I guess. Not really. Shoot. What is the scariest movie I've seen?
Ooh, the Uzumaki manga anime is going to be black and white like the manga. That's so cool. There's a teaser out already for it. Okay.
Oh my god. Trashokan, thank you so much for the Twitch Prime. Appreciate it.
11 months.
Yeah.
Thank you. Wow, Amaju.
Yeah, that's
truly the scariest.
From it's like, what is a robber never wants, you know, when you break into someone's house and you never want to see, or something, when you go over to someone's house you never want to see, and this one guy on Family Feud hits the button extremely fast and goes, "Naked grandma!" Like so fast. It's just so man. Wait, what?
Did Doki Doki Literature Club unsettle you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
And that
and
I would
had
say
a couple jump scares too.
Well, so okay, yeah, let's talk about Doki Doki. I would say that's actually a fantastic example of both having the suspension with the jump scare, right? While at the same time contrasting it with the normal stuff, but not letting the normal stuff take away from the scary stuff, because it starts out normal, but then it escalates and the normal stuff goes away. But then also having it literally come out of the screen, right? You know, that was the thing where it's like it gave it that extra flair, that extra spice, where it's not just about like, okay, horror, murder stuff that happens in you know, this place. It's the wait, this is taking on a life of its own, you know? Yeah.
It is ridiculous. I can't understand how anyone can find it scary, especially the second one. Yeah, I know what you mean.
By the way, I still have the Doki Doki Literature Club. I got a little thumb drive on a little necklace thing with the character file on there, and I still have it as a tribute to the experience of that game.
The problem I have with stuff like Doki Doki Literature Club is that it only works to its truest effect once, and if you know anything, you're getting into going it that taints the intended experience. I
Yeah.
don't know how I'm supposed to read that, but I get what you're saying. Yeah, that it's a thriller that, you know, once you've seen it once,
Right.
you don't really care about it.
And
again.
that's
It's like
why-
a murder mystery, basically.
Right. And that's why I feel like maybe
That's why I don't like cop shows.
yeah, like
Oh man.
like my definition for like if something is like
True
really
horror.
good, like scary stuff, is the kind of thing that makes you want to leave the lights on when you go to sleep. You know, where and I feel like for stuff like that, it doesn't necessarily have to be just a one-time thing, because like if it can do that unsettling aspect, kind of like the monster stuff, then it can be good for multiple times. Multiple
For sure,
experiences.
Litter. I've had that too. Stream of consciousness. It's no problem. Read r/no sleep. No, I'm good.
I've
I'm
seen
good
some of
on
the
it,
stuff
dude.
on
No.
there, and that's
No.
oh boy.
No,
Oh boy.
Again, I have a very overactive imagination. I don't need a lot of stimuli in order to get scared. So,
Do it.
no, that would be a funny reaction video, but nah, I no, we're not doing that. At least, not doing it in the foreseeable future. Dolls freak you out, uncanny valley, and all that. Yep. Sagacious Lass. I was mentioning earlier how the little doll toy thing in Paranoia Agent gives me actual legitimate, like, kind of you know.
And well, in that Konosuba episode where there were the animated dolls, it was like
Eh.
even though it's Konosuba,
Konosuba.
no, yeah, right, and that's why it didn't do much. But the idea of just like no animated dolls, no, thank you. So like a silent voice where it lingers in your head, except you're feeling dread instead. Yes, yeah, like basically like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that is a good point. Yeah. r/no sleep is basically a whole sub of stuff like the Russian sleep experiment. If you don't know what I'm talking about, spare yourself and don't look it up.
Oh yep, I've looked that up.
I'm good. I won't
That's,
look it up.
oh boy.
To be honest, I never had anything that let me want to have the lights on. On the other hand, I haven't watched a lot of horror anyways. Trashicon, yeah, I am with you. The one thing recently that genuinely kind of scared me and actually made me think of anime in live action recently was something that I kind of have to be a little bit spoiler free on for his sake, actually. And that's the recent sci-fi movie.
Oh, the one that you're constantly trying to get me to watch, Annihilation.
Yeah, Annihilation.
Okay.
Did any of you guys see the live action movie Annihilation recently?
A great scary movie. I'm torn between Alien and Annihilation, an old and a recent one. Yeah. There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah, I want to see who's seen it though. Wait till chat catches up with the stream so that we can bring it out.
Recent sci-fi movie, Battle Line.
No, but okay, so I guess Khalid has seen Annihilation. So Annihilation has it has essences of Alien in it. Yeah, of course it's super predictable. It's not a plot heavy movie. It's a character movie. And I would say one of the scariest things about it is not its ending or its jump scares or what have you. It's that part with the cabin and the thing in the cabin. Don't say what I'm talking about, but do you guys remember the thing? The thing, you know, and the creative expression of it and stuff like that. Did that not remind you of Made in Abyss in some way? Like, anyone? Anyone who has seen Annihilation? Yeah, Chad the Mad. Seen it. Allegedly the book's better, but yeah, cabin thing. Oh, that sound, Caleb. Exactly. Like,
Okay.
that's the kind of stuff where I just sunk into my chair and I was just like, no, I'm good. I'm really good. I'm okay. I'm okay. Yeah, it's a good point. Oh, Ex Machina. Yes, Ex Machina had some parts that were genuinely scary too. Because there's the part where you're getting lured in with the guy.
Well, and when he starts to
whole...
wonder, like, oh shit, and he like takes the razor and he cuts himself, and he's like, am I real? You know?
Yeah. That's just a hoo-ha. Yeah, Ex Machina, I would say, is a better movie than Annihilation because it's simpler, so it doesn't have any real, like, huge flaws.
And it's more like a concept exploration than like a true, like,
character study or a plot thing as well.
Yeah.
But the characters that act in it do an insanely good job. Funny, there was a couple, like, both the main guys were Star Wars guys, or more recent Star Wars stuff. But thing I loved about Annihilation was how well each character kind of was brought into the movie. Funnily enough, both of those movies have who was the guy that was in both Annihilation and Ex Machina? The quirky billionaire in Ex Machina, and then the boyfriend in Annihilation. He's the same guy. You know him? He's Poe Dameron in Star Wars. What was that actor's name?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
He's Poe Dameron in Ex Machina?
Yeah. Yeah, with the crazy beard and everything. Oscar Isaac! Oscar Isaac is an incredible actor. I am loving everything that he does. Unless it's that X-Men movie.
Did you guys see Joker? No.
We actually want to see it. We were just talking about it today. Like
our other brother.
Like 3 or 4 hours ago. Yeah, we were like, hey, we should go see Joker. And we're like, yeah, we should. And
honestly, if I'm going to experience horror, book, movie, anime, whatever, I'd rather not waste my time and just go for the stuff.
I'll scroll up for that. Yeah.
Go for the stuff that's actual horror and not just jump scares. I want it to really affect me, aka my experience with Devilman Crybaby.
Okay.
Devilman Crybaby. That's just, yeah.
Oh, it was hard for you to go to sleep after Made in Abyss. Dang. Yeah.
I mean, dreaming of elevators at that point. Like,
yeah. Barring the eclipse itself, you, Caleb, seemed pretty spooked by the onset of it. What with the blink and you see it appearance of the apostles and the Behelit morphin scream in which you actually sunk into your chair. Yeah, the sink into your chair response is basically my universal sign of nope.
I want to get as far away from this as possible.
Rummy, speaking about horror and Halloween, we're gonna read some Berserk this Thursday. Yeah, we are. And just saying, but after volume 40, we only have 3 chapters left, and with a regular volume having 8 chapters, and with Mira's schedule being what it is, with releasing 1 chapter in 6 months, meaning the next volume might be coming in 2021 or 2022, would you guys be open to just catch up to the manga? Latest chapter is a really good stopping point. We'll think about it. Yeah. It's a very real possibility we might end up just having to, because it's like, wait, what happened in Berserk 2 years ago?
Caleb, we need to make sure that we keep up we don't want to like ruin the potential of any content in the future, even if it is 2 years down the road for a single stream, right?
Oh my gosh. Mira, just drop Idolmaster, please. Just stop. Gacha games are not eternal. Like, they're not. I don't even know if Idolmaster is a gacha game, but
I don't know.
I assume it is.
Probably.
Yeah.
Or there's gacha games for it, you know?
Oh, sure. There you go. Oh, I couldn't sleep after watching Devilman Crybaby, and then ended up watching Made in Abyss along with you guys about a week later. I had trouble sleeping for like a month after that. Yeah.
Oh man, I wonder why.
Oh man.
You need to apply Comey can't communicate, generously. Just
Oh, after Ex Machina Annihilation, I checked the other stuff written by Alex Garland. 28 Days Later, Sunshine. Cool. So that was all written by the same person. Very cool, Khalid. Thank you. Thank you for the info on that. When are you re-uploading the Berserk manga reactions on YouTube?
Yeah, there was a question also about this for Doki Doki. It's like, sweats nervously.
Yeah. But, yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're probably going to be wrapping things up in a few minutes here, y'all. If you have any questions, let us know about them. But let us know about them here. But we're going to let you guys know that the final... No, we already had that. The Thursday stream that's coming up is Berserk Volume 40 manga read-through. Jacob and I going through that whole thing. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be a spooky Halloween Berserk manga read-through. Hopefully it's going to be a fantastic volume. I'm looking forward to it. So be sure to be here for that. Spread the word.
Yes. And Psychronia, I personally love the idea of doing horror games. Whether it's like, now I don't know about like horror games versus like more of like the jump scare games, where like the...
Well,
Okay,
Yeah.
is that's basically what
That's
they're.
basically
I
what
don't
they're
have any
talking
experience with horror games, but like,
well, you know what Slenderman is, right?
yes.
Okay, so that's a classic kind of YouTuber
Uh-huh.
horror game. kind
right,
of
right.
thing, where you point your flashlight
Mhm.
and
Oh
kind
yeah,
of grab
like
all the things. and-
that's the best part about Minecraft, anyways. Like it's just the okay, creeper.
well, Minecraft is
No, I know.
Minecraft is not.
No, I know,
scary.
but when that's why you always play Minecraft on survival mode. You don't play it not survival mode because what's the
guess.
point otherwise?
I guess yeah, that's true. That's true. I'm saying it's a classic TrasherCon, not that it's actually any good. I'm just saying that's an example of the type of things that
Play Hellblade with really good headphones. Oh, saying with really good headphones that okay. All right.
Not all horror games are jump scares, though. Even if they exist, there are games like Silent Hill. Pretty sure Silent Hill is a jump scare game, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of another. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. Do you enjoy good murder mysteries and stories? Not as
No.
often. No.
Generally no.
Yeah.
I generally I just don't like mystery stories almost at all.
I like mystery stories. I don't like murder mysteries. The thing with murder mysteries is it's whodunit. I'll tell you, like, almost every show that has like a limited amount of time and the whole time is spent on the one murder mystery, like, that's good. But the reason for that is because usually about 20% of the way through the thing I know who done it. So the longer it is, the more time where I'm like, guys,
Yeah, and if
it's the dude of the blah blah blah.
and it
blah.
certainly better not be something where it's been done where it's a pattern of like cop dramas, for instance.
Well, that's the other thing. If it's an episodic thing like that,
Yeah.
then you have to repeat the same thing. And while
And
you don't
how
have
do you
to
make
wait,
it so that you don't know and
well, while you don't have to have wait as long for people to figure out who done it, you do that same thing over and over and over and over again. So,
You're talking about Erased. Okay, Erased, the thing is, you know who done it, but the thing is that Erased did something that so many mystery stories feel like they don't do, is that you made us care.
Yep.
And the thing is that one, by doing the whole thing that they did so that way it hasn't happened yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not a thing of who done it, it's can I stop it?
Yep.
Right? And that's why
That's
it
way
worked.
better,
That
'cause
it made it way better.
Most murder mysteries are about who done it,
Yeah.
but Erased wasn't about who done it.
Because even if he finds out who done it, and it's like you're pretty sure it's this
You
person,
can't
it's
stop
like
them. They're an
you
adult.
can't stop them.
Yeah. Silent Hill has jump scares, but it uses them well. It's more general horror than anything specific. Oh, okay.
Gotcha. Specifically, headphones that do surround sound for Hellblade.
I have those. I
Yeah,
have
so that way you can hear
7.1
exactly
surround
where
sound.
it's coming from.
When I played Mass Effect 3, that was the first time I think I had surround sound stuff in the game actually matter. And there's a part where you're running through this environment and things are crashing around you. They're like drop pods with, like, I don't know what they were exactly, but probably Krogans or something, like Krogan drop pods. And one would land to the back left of me, and I could hear that it was back there, and I'd swivel all the way around with my shotgun, and boom! hit
and
him right as it
the
popped
sound
out.
would like move around your headphones as
Well,
I
no,
mean if it's
it
like a
happens
loud
all
thing
of
that
a
happens in
sudden.
an instant.
Boom.
Yeah.
And then I would go around and they'd have a as you're shocked from the sound, and they shoot them and then keep running. So yeah, the surround sound stuff is probably really good for horror games. Yeah.
If nothing is planned for next week's Thursday, Jacob, I recommend Witcher 3. It's on sale right now on Steam at $15.
Oh
Showing.
shoot, Jacob, you should just do it. You should just it would be so relaxing and fun for you.
But like I could play a game that you haven't played yet and then like do Witcher 3
Bro,
later.
it's The Witcher 3. It's a masterpiece, dude.
I know, but like
And it's $15.
I already have The Witcher 3.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
do. That's right. We already
I just
we
haven't
already
played it
covered
yet.
this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hey guys, you can shill to Jacob all you want for
Hellblade,
that
man, Jacob.
Because
I don't actually have super good headphones yet. I mean, I could totally get them by the time, 2 weeks
Totally.
from now.
Yeah.
But
yeah. But yeah, thank you all for the recommendations and stuff. Thank you for hanging out with the podcast here. It's a
Yes.
good time.
Mhm.
Be sure to leave a follow to stay up to date on all our streams that start
Indeed.
at 3 p.m. Pacific time on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Tomorrow we've got One Piece next
That's right.
manga volume, which is going to be
Mhm.
awesome. And then on Thursday we've got Berserk Volume 40.
that's right.
Dun, dun,
Time to
dun.
return to the grasses.
and it will be amazing.
Mhm.
It will be so good. Oh,
Yep,
yes. And then on Friday, we're continuing our Tales of Berseria streams. Apparently, I stopped at like right before one of the best parts in the game. Everyone in chat was hyping up. They're like, next week, next week, next week. So Tales of Berseria is getting hype. I'm in the final act of the story as far as things go, so that's pretty awesome. And then on Monday again for more podcast streams.
That's
So,
right.
Yeah.
And then one other thing, of course. So if you want to hear about something scary, here's what's scary.
Yeah.
Not reading Battle Lines, right? Because my sci-fi novel, Battle Lines, is available for purchase on Amazon. It's something that you could experience yourself and share with the rest of the world and step into my crazy little world and these characters and all that stuff. So go check it out. It's on Amazon. Links in the description of our videos.
Mhm.
There's some reviews on there of what other people thought of it. And if you do get it, make sure to leave a review of your own.
Yeah. So we'll see you guys in the next one. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all
Next time. Once again, try out 177013 in the name of All Hallows Eve.
Oh my gosh. The last act of Berseria is specifically why I wanted to show Berseria so hard to you. I can't wait for the coming weeks. Oh, it's going to be good.
Oh boy.
But Jacob,
Oh boy.
is it as good as the, you think it's as good as the last act of Battle Lines? The
Well-
last act of Battle Lines has some really cool parts. Like,
So the thing is, like, all right, it doesn't have as many anime waifus, I feel like, as Berseria,
Mhm.
but what this final act of Battle Lines